President Trump loves to interact with people. He loves to talk to people. I think this meeting will be beefy in that response. But I don't think they're going to dig a lot into the future policy.
Well, and Bill made a good point. John, I'll come to you next. I mean, Trump isn't going to show his hand. However, he did a bit when he was running to the American people, to voters. And it may be part and parcel for the support that he got from the Jewish community. You cannot ignore the pickup of Jewish voters in this country, given all of the anti-Semitic behaviors, riots, protests, death threats, actual violence. I mean, it has been quite the last 6 months to a year. So it makes sense for him to make that public during the campaign, what he would do. He was going to reach out, talk with leaders before he became the president in January. Just your thoughts and reporting on that. I know you were in Israel not too long ago.
Yeah, and I think that the appointment of Mike Huckabee, or at least the nomination of Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel, is a brilliant move on the president's part. Huckabee, very dedicated to Israel. Israel loves Huckabee, and I think that will facilitate a very constructive dialogue between the United States and Israel. Don't forget, as you pointed out, the president vowed that he would end the Ukraine war before he took office. So we'll see what he does on that front. We'll see what his conversations with Vladimir Putin might lead to. This idea of maybe ending the war in the Middle East in a fairly short time period, I think, is one that will go over well. A friend of mine lives in Beirut. She told me that all the women in Lebanon are crushing over the choice of Pete Hegseth for defense secretary. Pete, of course, is a very good-looking fella, and they like his military record, but they also think that he will be part of this idea of peace through strength. Let me come back also to the point that I was making earlier, that Harold also alluded to, about the effectiveness of a Trump second term. Don't forget, literally, from the moment he took office on January 20th, 2017, he was under siege. He was under siege from Democrats. He was under siege from the media. At every turn, the wolves were at the door. Over the past 4 years, and I never meant to say that he was not working, because he was working every day. He was just out of office. But over the last 4 years, he's really come to realize and identify where the traps are, where the pitfalls are in the presidency, and how to avoid them. And I think just by virtue of the cabinet picks that we have seen so far, Trump learned a lot from his first administration, and I think that he won't be as under siege as he would have been.
Well, we shall see. I mean, Judge Juan Merchan may have something to say about that. I mean, we thought we were going to get a decision this week in the case that has a sentencing date for November 26th. Now, that date moves off the calendar, and we're waiting for November 19th to see if that conviction will stay, and there will be sentencing with that. I mean, we're still watching lawfare against this president-elect. It's an interesting spot to be in.
President-elect Donald Trump in Washington today and making waves as he rapidly fills out his cabinet. In the past couple of hours, he's announced that Marco Rubio will be Secretary of State, Tulsi Gabbard to serve as his Director of National Intelligence, and he picked Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to be his Attorney General. That just came out. It comes off a whirlwind day for the incoming president, who had a big meeting with President Biden in the Oval Office. And here's that historic moment.
Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you, Donald, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition.
Thank you very much. And, thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much.
That meeting lasting about 2 hours. So what was said behind closed doors? Well, Donald Trump revealing to the New York Post that he and Biden both really enjoyed seeing each other, and adding this: "We really had a really good meeting. I asked for his views and he gave them to me. Also, we talked very much about the Middle East. Likewise, I wanted to know his views on where we are and what he thinks. And he gave them to me. He was very gracious." And the White House calling it a very cordial, very gracious and substantive meeting. But hey, what happened to all that threat to democracy stuff? Well, Corinne Jean-Pierre had this to say about that.
A lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy.